What's going on, everybody? Today on the podcast, we have Kurt Paeper. Kurt is a seasoned veteran poker player, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. He's played tournaments all over the place, and he even had a seat at the World Series of Poker. I've been a poker player for as long as I can remember, and I truly love the game. It's an intellectual game, it's a game of deceit, it's a game of creativity, it's a game that really showcases how to read people and how to present yourself in a different way. So we sling some cards, we drop some chips, and we go through some hands. And for those listening on the audio side of things, I highly recommend you check out the YouTube video because we actually play some hands and showcase some different scenarios that could pop up. And then Kurt and I chat about what to do in certain situations, what's common, what's uncommon, what to expect, and what's unexpected. As always, if you love the content, please give us a like and a subscribe. And if you want to join the conversation, leave a comment in the comments down below. I really had a blast with this one. I love the game of poker, and we really went in depth into our hands and our strategies and talked about all the different scenarios that could pop up. It really is a thinking man's game. So I hope you enjoy. I hope you have fun. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Enjoy the podcast. Sounds good. Cool. That's it.
Nice.
That's all it takes.
That's all it takes, right?
What's up, brother?
What's up, buddy?
How are you?
How you been?
Good.
Good.
Yeah.
So what's going on? You want to learn about a little bit about poker here?
So yeah, let's talk about it. So
Sure.
So we have the poker set here,
Yes.
and we've played together before in the
Yes.
past. How long have you been into poker now?
A little bit over 15 years.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that was when like World Series of Poker was big on
It was
TV.
big on TV, right? And believe it or not, even though with the the scandal with the internet poker and all that stuff,
Right.
it's still not a small enterprise. It's
Right.
still huge because now that they're bringing back, really realistically, only online poker was stopped in the United States. So you can go to Canada, you can go to like a lot of people in the Costa Rica, a lot of people did a lot of crazy things to still play online poker, and therefore that kind of maintained the entire community.
Okay.
So, which is really cool. And then there's also all these prestigious events all popping up all over the country. So it's not just Las Vegas anymore. You know, there's the World Poker Tour that goes to different spots around the country, around the world. There's the Heartland Poker Tour, which is right in the middle of the Midwest. Mm-hmm. Casinos around here do a lot of World Series of Poker circuit events. Foxwoods does a World Series of Poker circuit events, and then Borgata has their own seasonal series events, which I go to a lot.
Right.
Which I love. I love the structure there, and I love the way they run it. But there's it's just everywhere. I mean, they really they saw it turning down because of they call Black Friday, because it happened on a Friday. They saw that happening, and then they just kind of reworked it, repackaged it, and
They figured out a way.
Figured out a way.
So it was
Sure.
So on the online, you were able to just like pop a credit card in or whatever, and
That's
then
it.
it just took out of your account.
took it out of your account.
And then I remember when they shut that down.
Right.
So now the poker tours are just doing live events all over the place, and that's legal.
Right.
But if it's in a casino, or are they like in like hotels?
No,
and
no,
stuff
no.
like
Yeah, mostly in casinos.
that? Okay.
Yeah.
So they're in places where it's legal to gamble.
Exactly. Yeah. Most of them are in casinos. You know, sometimes they do charity events that are not in casinos, stuff like that. You know, I know a local poker pro who's done he does a lot of great work. He sets up a charity event in Manhattan every year. So you know, it's pretty much it's really more ingrained in the fabric of America.
Right.
Than
No one
people
bothers them.
Right. That's why ESPN does such a great job of covering the World Series of Poker main event and the subsequent events with that. Okay. So yeah, I love it because it's literally chess on steroids.
Yeah,
Pretty
I
much.
agree with that.
Yeah, it's like, you could like feign moves in chess and stuff like that, but pretty much all the computations and all the calculations are already written down. There's
only so many directions you can go. Right?
Exactly. There's only so many ways you could go. There's only certain numbers of moves you can do. But with poker, you can bluff. You can
win.
We can win.
Yeah,
Right.
You can just have the best cards,
or you can not win.
right?
And still have the best cards.
Right.
So the luck factor, there's really not a luck factor.
Right. There's no turn or river coming your way.
Well,
Right.
there's no turn, no river. There's no somebody just called you with an absolute ridiculous hand,
and then hit
and
something.
then just gets miraculously lucky. But it is mathematical. But one of the big misconceptions about poker is you do not have to be like a super genius to play. It helps, but you don't have to be. And the other thing I love about poker is it does, you don't have to go through college or a minor league system to play anything. You just got to have the money.
Right.
Which is,
well,
that's really
you do have to go through some type of like minor league when you play
true
local games and house games.
Very
and
true.
Like you got to learn how to play. You got to learn how to read people.
Right. But like you said, that's where it does start. It starts at home on the kitchen table with nickels and dimes, and it just progresses from there.
Yeah.
And then and they do talk about kind of like levels of learning and stuff like that, and there's a lot of training material out there for people to use and learn, and if they really want to get into it. I wouldn't advise maybe making a life of it. It's the hardest way to make an easy living. That's that's the common term that they use. But that's a lot.
It's risky.
It's risky.
Yeah.
Well, but
it's all about how you play.
It's all about how you play, and how good you run, and how far you're willing to go. Mm-hmm. Also, the type of person you are kind of is a huge factor in it.
Right.
Which we'll talk more about that later. But
So I started playing. My grandfather taught me how to play poker when I was very young, and it was literally the only thing I really had from him is like that knowledge. Like he would teach me when to look at somebody,
right?
When to bluff,
right?
When to play a certain hand, to play a certain pair combination, or what all the odds were about getting this, that. But we were playing 5-card,
right?
So it was a lot different than Hold'em and Omaha and all those other games. Right. He did a really good job of showing me when not to bluff, and when like that's the stuff he would teach me, and I learned a lot about people.
Yes.
Through that, we played with our family. We had a huge family play, and he was the best, man. You couldn't. It was either he was magical or he just knew. He knew what you were gonna do before you did it. You know what I mean? That's how he was.
And that's an acquirable trait too. Mm-hmm. That's not something that's appears out of thin air.
Right.
That
takes
you
time.
Can learn.
Yeah.
Well, it takes time, but you can learn it. That's the cool thing about it. And some people are born with that ability to look at a person and say, to measure you up and say, okay, I think you're this type of person, and I think you're going to do this.
Right.
But it's never. But the one thing about poker is
it's
never absolute. It's never always, and never, definite. It's always maybes, and if he does this, then maybe we could do this, or he's got this or that.
I have TT. If this, then that.
Yep. So, and that's that brings me to an interesting point. We're talking about knowing what a person got or something like that. And the popular thing nowadays is you kind of put people down to a range of hands, and that's really where you can study and learn how to do that. I hate to say it, but when you come to the poker table, it is Shark Alley.
It's we're not friends here.
We're not.
Everyone
friends.
is trying to win. It's a competition.
Trying to win. It's a game. We're all trying to win a game, and it's super competitive. And that's the other thing I love about it is that the competition is just off the charts.
And it's not a team sport either. It's
heck no. Yeah. Well, they do tag team.
They're
tag team, but for the most part, it's tennis, it's golf. It's an individual sport. When you're trying to size somebody up and you're trying to make a good decision, and you're trying to whittle down the pieces of the mystery to what somebody's playing and what you could do with your hand, and it's just a fascinating art form. And it is an art form. It's not a science. There's never going to be an absolute.
So let me ask you this:
poker.
Comparing poker to like sports players, right?
Right.
Like obviously you have a hockey team, and then you have your shooter, you have your big defensive guy, you have your really skilled guy. So there's different levels in just natural ability,
right?
Which has a lot to do with where they are
and
a lot of their skill. But when it comes to poker playing, like you said, anyone can do it,
right? But
what does it take to be like a good, like considered a pro? You know what I mean?
Right.
Not just you do it often, but
considered
what's considered you a good poker player to you? You know what I mean? Is it someone that studied a lot, or is it someone that just gets it and can fucking tear people apart?
Well, both.
Right.
So really, the way to become successful is to accept the fact that you're gonna lose sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you can accept that fact, you can, and minimize those losses and maximize your wins.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the nuts and bolts version of it.
Right.
But I mean, obviously, there's a ton more stuff we could talk about
Sure.
involved in that. But somebody who you think is going to be good knows how to read a table,
Mm-hmm.
pick the right table if it's a cash game. But in a tournament, you don't have a choice, and you just got to kind of go with it.
Mm-hmm.
Knows how to analyze the information that is being given out by the players, uses that information to maximize his or hers best hands or best
Whatever
possible
opportunities.
scenario, whatever scenario is right. So, for instance, if you get people that are just kind of, they kind of play kind of slow, conservative, you're gonna know right away if they have a big hand or a little hand, or by whatever you do. And being, and we'll get into it a little bit later when we're talking about position and stuff like that. A good player is gonna know. Okay, well, this person limped. This guy limped 4 hands ago, and he had pocket aces. So we got to be careful of that. But we got to find out, because whenever you just do what everybody else does, you gather no evidence for yourself to make a good decision.
Right.
So you either have to force their action or kind of try to play coy with your cards, and you could play coy a little bit earlier in position. We'll talk about that a little bit later, than in later position. But if you're going to play an earlier position, you're actually, more often than not, you should have a better hand than what you would have in a later position, because everybody sees what you're going to do first.
Right. You're setting the tone.
And you're setting the tone exactly first. But then they could take the tone away from you by either raising or whatever the case may be. Now, if you have a strong hand, you could perform your action, play it slow, play it fast, whatever the case may be. If you have a really strong hand, you could trap those guys to making a bad decision.
Right.
Yeah.
So and as you go, you're basically chipping in, and also you're paying for information. Like, I'm going to call you, even though I know I'm going to lose, but I'm going to see what you're dealing with.
I want to see what you're playing.
Yeah,
exactly.
I want to see
and
what
that's
you're
true.
doing. Yeah.
Generally, you want to try to not do that often, but if you do it early in the night or early in the tournament,
when you have enough to play with,
right. Exactly. And we could talk about tournament stack dynamics and all that stuff also, because that's really important. If because the tournament scene is really the most popular form, because that's the one that's on TV and everybody sees that. Cash games are just the same, all round and round you go.
Yep.
It's only one table. So in tournaments, there's hundreds of tables with hundreds of people, and they could shift you at any time. And then you could be on a hand. You got to be a table for 5 hands, and then you're moving again. The two different types of play, cash game or tournament, there are so many different dynamics to each type. And that if you're gonna get involved with poker and you're gonna do all these things, you gotta know both ways. It's really one of the things that we've I've seen over the years, is that people who are really good at tournaments tend to really be bad at cash.
Really?
Yeah.
So there's a negative correlation there.
But people really good at cash,
They're good at tournament.
can translate to tournament faster.
So do you think that's because the people playing cash are more mindful of their stack?
Not necessarily, because in a cash game you're kind of at the same level, and you could just rebuy to that level again. In a tournament,
you're with whatever
you got. But I would say that the cash game player has more understanding than a just straight tournament player.
Right.
So a cash game person knows when to push the gas hard or hit the brakes. A lot of times we find that tournament players are just gas all the time. Aggression, which is good for cash game too, but there's people out there that can do both.
Right.
Like a perfect example of that is like Daniel Negreanu and Phil Hellmuth and all those guys, all those big pros. They know when, okay, well, you're going to start doing this, so I'm going to do this to counter what you're doing, and then bam, bam, bam.
And it's just a game of psychology from there.
Exactly. In the poker world, they call it leveling.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I know what I have. That's the first level. Second level, I know what you have. The third level is, I know what you have, but now you know what I have.
Right.
And I want you to think I have.
Right.
This, and it keeps
It just
going
all
on.
goes
and
back and forth.
Back and forth, back and forth. And that's why it's such a great game, because it's just like that psychological warfare that, okay, I think you're going to do this, but I'm going to put you to the test.
Mm-hmm.
See if you can, and then you find out people's nerve, well, oh, wow, I don't want to lose to this guy, or I'm going to lose all my chips if I'm wrong. But, the more information you gather during the hand,
Mm-hmm.
the better choices and better decisions you're going to make. And that's really what it's all about, just making the best decision possible with the information that you have.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
That's exactly what it is.
So what about the third avenue, which you mentioned earlier, was the online aspect of it? So I've played a little bit of online poker. I don't like it. We've played together.
Yeah.
Like I prefer looking at you, and I prefer the environment. And
Right.
I like whatever's going on. I'm in tune to like my surroundings and everything like that. So all that affects me, and it affects how I play. If I'm feeling confident, if I'm not feeling confident, how am I playing? Am I making bad decisions?
Right.
Where online, I don't feel like that at all.
Right.
It's way different. But there's a different game to online.
It's a different meta. Exactly.
Right.
The online game is more geared towards mathematics.
Right. Okay.
That's just pure mathematics.
What are the odds?
What are the odds that, the chances? What are the mathematical chances that this person has this type of hand versus my hand?
Mm-hmm.
And stack dynamics are,
Right.
I have 100 big blinds. This guy's got 10.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to cost me 10% on my stack to knock him out.
Right. To just
to take
push
these
him
chips,
around. Right.
Exactly. Right. They can't, and if they're in position, positions, I'm going to mention position all day long.
Well, that's the game.
Because that's the game, right? If you got a big stack in position, you could just punish all the other medium stacks.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have to be careful of the smaller stacks, because they just have what they call shove stacks.
Right. Because
So they're just gonna whatever, just gonna
that's where being lucky comes from.
That's what right.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing with online poker, is that it kind of shattered the reality of that me looking at you is the end all be all.
Right.
It's not.
Yeah.
Because they're so they're so
You can still play without that.
right, and then it just added more of a dynamic to the game.
Right.
So another thing is that online players became desensitized to those emotions, because they're just
Clicking buttons. And they'd have 5 games going on at once. And
exactly. So they're looking at a hand. It's just another hand. They're looking at aces. They're looking at 2-5 offsuit. It doesn't matter to them.
Right.
What matters to them is the mathematics involved in the hand. What matters is what do they think that person's going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where those a lot of those online poker sites had their own statistics, and there's statistics sites online that you could use, like Flopzilla and all this stuff, and you could. It records all your hands and gives you all the parameters, and really, it's the analytics.
Right. Oh man, I always check on this hand, or I always bet on this hand. And
right. Well, yeah. It shows you pre-aggression, pre-flop, post-flop, turn, river. What was your effective win rate on
what worked, what didn't.
What didn't work, right? Exactly. You opened 100 times from the small blind into the big blind, and then the big blind folded 55% of the time. Stuff like that.
Right.
And it's just insane, the amount of numbers that and then that I really think that kind of stuff kind of went hand in hand when the baseball revolution did it with analytics,
right?
With the Oakland A's back in the early 2000s,
Moneyball,
and all that, right? I think the same people kind of said, "Hey, we can apply that to poker."
I mean, everything, and football,
and
hockey,
football, right,
everything,
right.
Just statistics,
statistics. That's all it is.
I mean, there's a lot of information there. Like
it is.
I would imagine you could see when you get bored. You know what I mean? Like, well, on average, 2 hours into a game, all of a sudden your bets start going up and start moving a little faster because you're bored.
Because you're bored.
You know, and you'll see yourself do that.
Right.
And then you're like, okay, we're coming up to that point where I make mistakes.
Right.
Maybe I should stop playing. You know, you can make changes to your game
exactly
based off that information.
You can improve your game based on that information. Yeah. So but then again, brings me back to that fascination factor. I mean, some of these people are really dedicated to this, and it's worth it because you can win millions upon millions of dollars.
Yeah, but you could win millions of dollars catching a turn. You know,
exactly.
So that's why it's like, wow, do you put that much effort in? Is it worth it?
right. So that's
or is it worth it just to play?
Is it worth it just to play? Exactly right. Yep. People also take calculated risks. Also. Sure. So it's it's the same thing. Working on the stock market. You're hedging hedging your bets about whether the stock's going to go up or down. You never know.
Yeah, it's all a gamble.
It's all gamble. It's still gambling, no matter which way we slice it.
So what are you doing now? More frequently, are you doing like tournaments, cash games all the time, or just
both,
online?
Both. Pretty much every Friday I've been playing a little tournament out east.
Okay.
But if anybody's interested, DM me and or whatever, all that stuff, and I can set you up if anybody's interested in play. Little $60 tournaments. We do it like a league. We do it like a
sure.
Yeah,
That's
points
fun.
and tournament champions and stuff like that. It's really fun. And then there's always a little cash game afterwards for people who don't want to go home just right away.
Right.
But it's just a lot of fun. Great group of guys. It's tough. It's tough on Long Island because it's not legal per se to run a poker game. So taxes and whatnot. Don't want to get off on that whole tangent. But
I mean, for $60,
$60,
who's bothering anybody?
Exactly. So and the cash game doesn't get big, so they don't really don't. They really don't care about that. Plus, there's cops that play in the game anyway, so it's never gonna come to that. But I've been in places where it's been a little bit shady. And
let's hear that story.
Yeah, right. Not necessarily shady, but some of the people are shady. Some drug dealers. There were some drugs involved. I didn't partake in any of that stuff. But, it's just. It's just waiting to get hit by the cops and them to come in and say, all right, this place is going to arrest you guys and do all this stuff.
It's so crazy to me. I mean, it's a game. It's a card game.
It's a card game.
And it's illegal.
Right.
Because of.
But that's the weird thing is it's not illegal to play.
No, it's illegal to bet.
To take the bet. It's illegal to run it.
Right.
You can't make a profit off it.
Right,
and that's why Molly's Game was. If you ever saw the movie Molly's Game, she never took a rake.
Right, she just ran a game.
Ran a game off of tips and stuff like that. So, which
there's a gray area.
There's a gray area right there. But she didn't really have any trouble until she started taking a rake.
Right.
So
right.
But it was also she was making thousands of dollars and it was unreported income and all this stuff. So that's the other thing you got to be careful about too. If you're say you go on a hot streak and you win $50,000. I mean, obviously you could hide it, whatever.
Right. Someone might ask questions about
right, exactly. Where did this come from?
Uncle Sam will come knocking on the door.
Or where's your wife? But yeah. So it's just really hard to run a game in a place where it's not. Good.
Right.
I mean, back when I first started, I mean, we just went to games and there were just tables upon tables of people. It was just crazy. 40 people, 50 people every night. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Right.
But when you run games like that, you draw a lot of attention. And that's really where it started. For a lot of the games in Suffolk, somebody would lose like $1,500, $2,000, $3,000 a week. And their wife or their mom or whatever the case may be,
someone noticed,
and then calls the cops and say, "Hey, you got to look at these guys." And eventually, they investigate, get their ducks in a row, and come on in. And it happens all the time. It happened all the time for a while. I mean, I don't know how much they do it now. I mean, there was actually got FBI involved. It was a whole big thing. So. people just care. Just people just if you're gonna run a game, just be careful. Mm-hmm. That's all.
Yeah.
Just keep it small.
Yeah. And if you see someone who's losing every week, and they're like getting in a hole, don't let them play.
Don't let them play.
Simple as that. You don't need their money. There's plenty of other money to go around.
Right.
You know?
Right. Well, right, and you could say, "Listen, I'm sorry. I love you to play, but I can't draw that much attention." Mm-hmm. Or you got to go learn how to play.
Or you got to stop losing.
Right. That too. But I like playing in that Friday game because it's nice people, great bunch of guys and girls. Mm-hmm. Quite a few females play too, so it's which is a really cool thing. And I just use that. That's like my practice time too. Mm-hmm. So I can go to the Bargana and be confident that I'm going to play well.
Mm-hmm. How do you do over there?
I've done all right.
That's
all right. I did good this past January. I finished 27th in a $450 buy-in event out of 35. No, more than that. It's like 5,000 guys.
Wow. Yeah. 27th out of 5,000.
Yeah. It was really exciting. It was a three-day event. Got down to the final 3 tables, and we were just breaking tables to go to those 3 tables, and that's when I got busted.
Right.
When Jackson to 10s, and
that was it.
it.
Yeah, and in that situation, you might be the big stack at the table you're at, then all of a sudden you get moved, and now you're the short stack.
Well,
you know what I mean? Because there might be, with so many people, I'm sure that explodes pretty quickly.
It can. But that tournament I like a lot. It's called, the name of it is the Almighty Tournament, and you get, the blinds start 100, 200, and you get 100,000 chips. Mm-hmm. And it's like 45 minutes to an hour, the blind levels, and you just sit there and play. Right. It's just fantastic.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's basically, that's the same kind of stack ratio that you would have at a cash game. Mm-hmm. So usually max buy-in for like a $1, $2 level would be $200.
Right.
So you have 100 big blinds. And that's how they kind of measure how much chips you have and the amount of big blinds you could pay.
Right.
And the actual cash value amount, because that gets a little bit confusing. Mm-hmm. It's just simple that they boil it down to whatever the big blind level's at. I have.
Yeah, I have 10 hands left. I have 30 hands left.
Right. I got 10. You got 10 big blinds.
Big blinds.
Right. Yeah. So, and then there's considerations that you gotta think about when you're getting down to that level. If you're getting about 10, 20 big blinds is like the danger zone, they call it. You're getting low on chips. Things aren't going right the way you want them to. Sometimes you gotta, some people, it depends on the person that you are. If you're like, all right, I'm going to gamble it up, see if I can get back in this thing. Right. Or if I'm going to hold on to that one big hand.
And then strike.
And then just strike. Mm-hmm. Right. Which I've done. That's usually how I do it. Mm-hmm. It's not really the best way to do it
because that hand may never come.
Exactly.
I've been down that road,
and you get unlucky.
Yeah.
Right. So just knowing your table, knowing your stack dynamic, knowing the players, that you type of people they are, what their activity level is, and in live you could tell that stuff too without really getting any sort of physical tell on anybody. You can, this guy plays this like every 2 orbits. Mm-hmm. He's tight.
Right.
He's playing, every orbit is once around the table.
Yep.
Or he's playing, he plays only when he's in position.
Right. Versus the guy who's playing every hand.
Exactly.
Right. CJ.
Exactly. CJ
plays every card he's ever been dealt. And he wins.
CJ was fun. I had a lot of fun playing with him. And just know your opponent. It really, there's that's the best advice I can. Know who you're playing. Right. Just know them. Just get to know them, and then then the whole strategy of table talking and getting to know the people. Right. And, poker is a social game. It's meant to be played with people. Right. And it's a people game. It's not necessarily a card game. It's a people game.
And that's what took me out of the online. Right. I missed having those conversations and learning about people and then predicting what they might do and stuff like that. Like that's the best part. That's the most fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's the most fun part. Absolutely.
When you guys, let's say you do these Friday tournament or whatever.
Sure.
And you play in that cash game after, so they put a limit on that cash game for sure. Then, right? It's 1-2 or 2-4.
1-2.
1-2. Okay.
1-2, no limit.
Okay.
So you just table stakes, whatever you put on the table is what you can lose. And if you
See, I always get nervous that because I'll be playing with $200, $100, and then someone will walk up with $1,000, and then they just start pushing people around.
Nope, you cap it at 200.
Okay,
that's
the most you can.
Yeah, that's the most. Right.
That's fair.
Well,
unless you're buying back in or whatever.
Right. Well, but it also depends on the place.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, at the game, I think the cap they put it at 300.
Okay,
but that's it. Anybody who has more than that got it there.
Okay,
they got it from other players.
Right.
So.
Right. But so it was part of the game.
Right. So you sit down at the table. You see a guy with a big stack. He's been sitting there for a while. He knows. Automatically that he's either hit a lot of good hands, or he's just really good and he's just dominating.
Mm-hmm.
Or the other players are really, really bad.
Right. And he's just winning.
And he's just doing what he does. He's just winning. So either way, you got to take that into consideration when you're sitting down at the table. Where you sit in relation to that person is also a factor.
Mm-hmm.
If you know that person, you've seen them before, he's incredibly loose, you kind of want to be on the left of him a little bit. If he's conservative, kind of tight, plays solid hands, just really smart, you want to be on the right of him.
Right. So you'll see what he does.
Right. Well, not only that, but you want to kind of try and get either you want to take the action away from him, or you just want him to keep putting in chips.
Right. Okay.
Either way.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So right.
So you can check, let him bet, come around, do a re-raise, and then
exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like righty tighty, sit to right, lefty loosey, sit left.
And it works that way too.
Yeah, it always does.
That's pretty awesome.
So yeah, if you're a player, if your opponents are kind of loosey goosey, you kind of want to be in position on them.
All right.
Yeah, you always want to have position on people. That's the best way. The best way you can combat somebody who's really good, or really loose, or whatever the case may be. If you got a tight player who's going to overfold a lot, which is a term we'll go over later, you want to sit to the right of them because you want to dictate the action.
Right.
Yeah, but sometimes sometimes it just you don't have a choice. Sometimes you just got to sit where you got to sit, and that's it. But
okay.
But if you have a choice, yeah,
if you have a choice,
yeah, and if you read any sort of poker manual, training manual, or anything like that, they'll always tell you, well, if you're going to go play a cash game, take about half an hour, 20 minutes or so, and kind of watch what's going on at any of the tables, and see if you could choose to sit at any of those tables.
Right.
Because you want to, get to know what the players are doing, even if you do sit down, kind of hang back for a little while. Don't get too busy right away. Learn what's going on. Learn the table dynamics of who's doing what, and who's the boss, and who's running.
Who's going against each other too. You
exactly.
can see all right, these two are going after each other.
So if they get involved, just
let them do it.
Let them go.
Yeah.
But sometimes you want to get involved with them too, because they're going to be trying to outbid each other, and you're just sitting there with your pocket, your 3 aces, and let them go raise. And you just call. And then when you show them the winner, you get all their money.
Right.
So
nice.
Depends. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a different dynamic.
Different dynamics. Exactly.
So what do you say we start slinging some cards?
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right. Cool. Let me set this up.
Okay.
All right. So I think I'm going to let you take the lead here.
Okay.
And let's just talk. I guess we'll just go through some hands and talk about some scenarios. And,
sure.
What I'll do is I'll tell you what I'll do, what I would do.
Right.
And you tell me how dumb of an idea it is. How about that?
Sounds like fun. Why don't you give it a little cut there?
I trust you.
You trust me. Bad move.
When I feel it is.
So we're gonna kind of do the scenario that we have more than just us at the table.
Okay. Want to deal some cards?
Right. We could do that. We'll say there's 5 people total. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to be next to the button. Joe will be in the middle. And we have the little blind and the big blind. For those who don't know, the little blind is the first bet. Big blind is a raise of that bet. And that's what the stakes are usually at the time the time of the play. So now let's kind of move forward and see what Joe would do here.
I would fold.
Okay.
And
me too, because these cards are not too good. That's even worse. But you have even this poor of a hand has some playability.
Yes,
if you're later in the thing.
Yeah. See, like me coming first bet,
right? No good.
No flop.
No good.
Not worth it to me to even see it, right?
Nope. Let's see what the other guys had. Ooh. Small blind definitely had a raising hand of possibility.
Wow.
But that would have been some pretty good blind on blind violence, as they like to say.
Right. So then these two probably would have played that hand out.
They would have played that hand out. This guy, if nobody called, nobody raised before them, this guy would definitely raise.
Right.
Depending on his read of this guy, he may or may not fold his hand, because even though he has an ace, depending on the timing of it. When in the tournament there is cash game, he's probably going to call him. Right.
So what would you do in these situations, right?
If I was the little blind?
You're the little blind.
Right.
You're in this position, okay?
Right.
What do you do?
Okay. Well, if I'm the little blind and nobody else has acted, I would definitely give it a little bit of a raise.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got 2 chips here. What I would do is I would probably make it. I would make it 6 chips.
All right, so you triple it.
Right.
So you triple the bet.
3x. What they call it a 3x bet.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Now, depending on how conservative or stubborn this person is, they could choose to either fold it or fold it or call it.
Okay,
I don't see a scenario where this person would re-raise me.
It would be a call.
It would most likely.
Just because of the ace before the flop.
Exactly. They want to see. So let's throw out a flop.
Right. So let's say they would call. I mean, I would call.
Right.
In that position, I'm
Sure.
assuming you would too.
Right. Well, like I said, it depends on the person that I'm playing against. If I know that they're a solid person, I might.
Let's say fresh game.
Fresh game. Yeah.
Like just go through fundamentals.
Right. Because you don't want to set the precedent that you're going to fold. You're not going to defend what you've invested in the pot.
Right. You already got.
Exactly.
Let's
Yep.
So what are we dealing with here? These are ones.
Yeah, ones.
Right, so we got
That's fine.
So we got $6 in the pot.
$6.
Right?
So okay. So now this is a pretty garbage flop. Actually, my hand would have been really good with the queen 4, but
right.
So now you could start reading.
Now you think this guy's in?
Right.
You think 5-10's in?
No. Unless he's a loose cannon.
Right.
And
typically no.
But you never know.
Right.
There's always there's no definites.
Okay. So now in this
scenario, this person is either gonna, since they took the betting lead, they're going to either want to continuation bet, no matter what they have, or they want to check it and see what this person does. Now, continuation bet, you really have nothing. You have ace high. Now you got to kind of start to figure out, well, what did this guy call me?
Yeah, he has something to play with. He
got
was in the big
something.
blind.
He was in the big blind, and he only called. He didn't raise, so he doesn't have anything big.
Right.
So, sevens and fives, you can kind of almost discount. A queen is definitely a possibility. So you have to be careful of this. So, but you have a backdoor straight draw with your 8, plus you have ace. So if an ace comes, you could probably feel pretty confident that you'll have the best hand. So, you can make a case for either checking or betting here. Okay? Now, this person pretty much has a, kind of figures if this person checks, he's scared of the queen. If this person checks, he's scared of the queen. You have the backdoor nut flush draw because you have the 2 spades. You don't really have any straight possibilities. So your only chance really to take down the pot is if he checks, you got to bet. So for argument's sake, let's just say Mr. Ace 8 wants to bet. So he's got 12 chips in the pot. Let's say he's going to bet 8 chips. And now this is an important factor also because the sizing of your bet will determine what this person does also. Okay? You don't want to bet too low because now you're giving him it's going to cost him one of these to win a total of 5 bets.
Right. So that's worth it for him.
So that's totally worth it for him. But now, see, you make this bet, you make an 8-chip bet out of 12 chips.
Yeah, a little over half the pot.
A little over half. Now it's going to cost him one of these just to win
Right.
that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you're getting 5-1 if you bet small. He's only getting 3-1. I mean, he's still getting pretty good odds with an 8-chip bet, but not as good. And if you don't have if you don't have a good hand, really, you're just throwing money away at that point, just to see if this guy doesn't have a queen.
So do you? Let me ask this properly.
Sure.
Do you subscribe to the philosophy that you should never let anyone get the turn? You know what I mean? In the situation like this, like you don't want to see that turn. You want to just get the pot and get out, right? Just outbet him and get out at this point. Like, because this is really a nothing hand.
Right.
He can't really have anything too great unless he has a pocket pair. You know,
if depending on who you are.
If I'm the little blind here, right?
Yeah, if you're
like,
the little
I want to
blind,
I don't want see another card.
Right. So if you're let's say this: if you're the little blind and you make a pot-sized bet, this guy's really got to think. Now this is the beauty of it, because you have to put pressure on your opponent in order for him to continue. So if I'm making a pot-sized bet, he's only getting 1-1. You know, he's getting like 1.5 to 1 on his money. So he's gonna put a whole stack of 12 just to win 36. Makes no sense.
Right. It would be enough to push him out.
Right. I would say so. Even if you did 10, it should be enough to get him out. And then, but you have to be careful. But if you want to keep him in the hand,
right, bet a little lower.
Right. So now you want to. That's where your variance goes up. And variance is the amount of times that you're going to get unlucky, or the more wild things can happen. So if you're making a small bet because you want to keep him in, well, now he has all sorts of opportunities to catch some stupid cards that just
Right.
You want to have a pretty solid hand if you're going to go this route.
Yeah, if you're gonna go fishing, have something.
Right. Well, right. If you're gonna go fishing for a fish, you have something pretty solid. You gotta have trip sevens or queen seven, or like a straight flush draw. Like the 6-8 of spades or something like that.
So let's say he limps in.
Yeah.
Let's say he did what he did and puts in 8.
Right.
Ace 9. I'd be worried about the queen, but I don't know. I'd call just to see the turn.
Yeah.
I think so.
So if he puts an 8.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
So we're gonna put in 8.
But I'm a dream chaser. I'll always chase that river.
You're always gonna chase that.
If I'm in by the flop, chances are I'm gonna, unless it's really glaring,
Right.
chances are let's see what happens here.
So now.
Okay, so now we got possibilities.
Now we got some possibilities here. We have this now.
That's a 6 of clubs there.
Mr. Ace 8 now has an open-ended straight draw. And Mr. Ace 9, his flush possibilities are dead.
Right.
So now, but he's got a gut shot straight draw. So technically, if we put the percentages of who would win in the hand, Ace 8's ahead of Ace 9 right now.
Right, because of the straight draw.
Right, because of the straight draw.
So Ace 8, you're here, you have this much, and you already bet 8.
Right.
You got a card that really doesn't help. It gives you more possibilities,
right.
but it doesn't. All it does is keep you in.
Right.
But you know what I mean?
But the important thing to remember is that if you feel that your opponent has the queen right now, this card is going to scare the shit out of him.
Right.
Because look what just happened.
Right.
What happened? What
they could have 8-9.
Right.
And then
if they had the guttable 8-9 or 4-8 suited, something like that, you could put them on the range, or pocket sixes.
That'd be the only thing I'd be worried about.
Or 6-7,
like some type of pocket pair if they made that bet.
Right. Or there's more hands than that. There's 6-7, 6-5, which are all reasonable raise hands, blind on blind.
Okay.
Right.
Right.
Or for some stupid reason, he's got queen 5, queen 6, queen 7, any of those.
Those are all possible hands.
All possible hands that
with the betting that's happened so far.
Exactly. All reasonable. Everything that could happen there is reasonable. And 8-9, I wouldn't really give him 8-9.
Yeah.
Because It's got,
Yeah.
there's a miracle gutter.
Right.
So you can really discount, and plus you have a 9 block in it. Mm-hmm. So with the ace 9. So really, the only thing I would be worried if I was him, and the only thing I'm worried about here is if he's got pocket 7s, pocket 5s, even pocket queens, because he did raise pre-flop.
So let's say you're ace 9.
Right.
What does ace 8 have to bet to put you away?
Really, any amount.
Right.
Really.
If he checks, great.
If he checks, he's stupid. But yeah, for this amount in the pot, I would definitely bet. I would bet this amount. Mm-hmm. About that much. That would be my bet from him.
Right, and then he would be like, no, take it.
No, that's
and
it.
You're done.
You can't.
That's the end of the hand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. But that's it's such an interesting turn card that it changes the entire dynamic of the hand.
Right.
All the possible holdings that this person could have just all open up immensely. Mm-hmm. The only thing better was if this was the 5 of clubs.
Right, because then that would give him a little
straight
bit
draw.
more.
You have all sorts of equity. So yeah.
Yeah, but this hand would have never seen a river.
No, definitely not.
Sweet.
Okay, so now pre-flop, Joe has the best position right now because he's going to be the last act no matter what happens. Looking at my hand, I would fold.
Yeah, you can flip
This
him.
guy.
We can talk about him.
I could flip him out. This guy, depending on this, right next to the dealer, he's got some good position. I would, if nobody's opened, I would definitely put in a raise here. Mm-hmm. And the key thing when you're raising and betting and all these things, you want to be standard. You always want to do the same thing every time, because if you're changing your bet size and you're changing the way you do it, you're giving away too much information. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna make this 6 chips if I have this, or if I have pocket aces, pocket kings, anything
In that spot, in that position,
spot.
that's what you're.
Pretty much in any position.
pre-flop.
If you're gonna come in for a raise,
Right.
I'm gonna make it the same raise.
Okay.
Now, if there's other people in the pot before you, you could vary it that way.
Based on what you
on
see there.
right,
Okay.
because now you're basing it on the amount of chips that are in the pot already.
Okay.
Okay. So Mr. Dealer would look at this and probably fold that out.
Right. He'd probably fold.
Small blind, depending on the player,
Right.
knowing that he's going to be out of position the rest of the hand,
Right.
facing a raise.
He also just lost a hand.
Just lost a hand. He could be on tilt.
Yeah. These are things to consider, right?
Absolutely, 1,000%. So now and also this person has to consider that situation also.
Right.
Now this guy's pretty low on chips.
He's probably going to fold that.
He's probably going to fold that.
Yeah.
He's going to wait for a better spot.
Yeah.
And and this is another interesting thing too. You don't want to call a raise with a worse hand. You can make a raise with the worst hand, but you got to be calling. If you're intent to call a raiser, you're got to make sure that you can beat his range.
Right.
Right. So depending, and then it goes right back to your table dynamics of about what how you think the player's going to play in different given situations.
Right.
So if you notice this guy's pretty active, and you got like an ace queen or ace jack or something like that, you could that's a reasonable play to come over the top of that person and re-raise him from a bad position. Because he could be raising with ace 9, he could be raising with 6-4, he could raise him with anything.
Right.
But if it's somebody who's hasn't really played that many hands, they're putting in a raise.
Chances are they got some cards.
Yeah, they got something real.
Right,
so
cool. So he's out.
In this situation, he'd be out. So now let's see what you got.
So I'm calling.
You're calling.
I'm going to call him. And
okay.
do you want to see what I'm working with here?
Sure.
So I'm calling because I have Queen Jack unsuited, but
right
2 face cards. I mean,
right.
for a 3x bet
right
before the flop, I feel
right.
like I'm in good shape.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, you're
like I'm not re-raising.
Right. No.
You
just want to see a flop and see what happens.
Let's see what happens. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
I'll pay for that.
Exactly. And also that's important because like we said, you don't want to set the dynamic that you're easy to raise and
Right.
just you're gonna fold all the time.
Right.
Sometimes you gotta.
Sometimes you gotta stand your ground a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
You
So,
have
but
to-
make sure you have
to.
some
Right.
some
Some
backup.
decent holdings. You know, he's got straight possibilities. He's got pair possibilities. He's got Broadway cards. So let's see what happens. Now,
So now I'm fucked.
No, well, not necessarily.
That's my initial thought, right?
That's your
Now I'm
initial-
like, ah, shit.
Well,
I love
yeah,
my
this
queen,
is,
but
this is going to scare you.
that's gonna scare me.
Right. So, but now you're out of position in your situation, not knowing what this person has. What would you do?
Looking at this particular game, right?
Right.
I got a stack. I'm feeling all right about it.
Right.
Honestly, I'd throw in a bet. I would throw in a bet.
That's good.
Yeah, I would put in. I'd say I'd throw like a 3x, or I would go higher. I would do 3x or higher. I would never go lower because we already set the tone
Right.
with that, right? So I'm thinking if I go 3x, he's gonna call.
Right.
If I go a little higher, if he calls, it means he has something to work with.
Right.
That's kind of what I'm looking at it. So maybe I would go like double, so maybe like 6, right?
That's yeah. Well, that
I mean, 12,
now-
12 I would say.
12 is the pot. That's a pot size bet.
So I bet half the pot. So I bet 6.
6. So half.
So
half
I guess that is the same bet as what
Yeah.
I had.
yeah, half pot is a good scenario. Is a good.
Yeah,
bet.
this is just
It's a
me
good
telling him, hey, I'm here to play.
Right.
You know,
And saying,
let's build a pot here together, and we'll
Right.
see this next card. Right. That's
Right.
kind of what I'm saying.
so in this scenario, the jargon is called donk lead.
Okay.
Okay, the person who didn't raise leads out. So now they're trying is exactly what you're saying. Hey, I got something here, and I'm going to show you. You know, I'm not afraid to play with you.
Right.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Like that ace honestly doesn't bother me.
Right. You're acting like the ace doesn't bother you.
Right.
When really,
Obviously, it does.
It does.
Yeah.
So
As well as it should.
so we'll call these $5 chips.
Sure.
$1 chips. So depending on the player, they're either going to raise you or they're going to call you. You know, fresh to the table, most of the time they're just going to call because now
Been playing for a while though.
right. If they're
they might
playing
know
for a while,
something.
then they kind of know how you're playing. Then they could either raise you or just call you at that point. But for fresh start of the game,
Sure.
not knowing how exactly you're playing, and you were in the big blind and you just called my raise or this guy's raise, you know, they're probably just going to either call, which is what I would do because I don't know, because now I'm worried about my 9. You know, now I'm worried that you called with an ace, and now I have to worry about you either having ace queen, ace king, ace jack, ace 10. So now, now I don't have diamonds, I have hearts. I gotta worry about diamonds also. You have a backdoor diamond draw too. Well, you know, thinking about it, if I was looking at this hand fresh, and if I was ace 9, raise might have to happen to see really what you're going to do.
Right. And that's where it comes really down
That's
to
really
who you are. Like,
right.
you want to test me,
Right.
or like see if I'm testing you.
Right.
A re-raise here,
Right.
I would call,
But
you know, for sure.
Yeah.
But now we both know, okay, it's a race.
right.
We're gonna see who gets the best hand here. You
Right.
know.
Well, not necessarily, because now this person, even if you're leading out, you could be leading out with diamonds. This I would be, if I was ace 9, I would be more worried about diamonds than you having an ace or a queen. That's
Okay.
what because now.
So you would raise to see if the diamonds are a possibility.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. So now I got to figure out
Yeah. How much you're willing to put in?
how much
you know?
you're willing to put in. So you put in 6.
I mean, in a limit game, you'd have to double, right?
Right. Right. So I would, in a no limit game, I'm probably putting in a $17 raise.
Okay.
All right. So now,
So you got to call the 6. So
that's part of it.
So all right. So,
So
it's calling.
5,
So
6,
$11.
and $11 raise.
$11.
Right.
Yeah. With a stack such as mine right
Right.
there, I'd call that immediately.
Right.
I'd be like, let's see that next card.
Right. So now I know you're. If I think you have diamonds, I know you're willing to pay for those diamonds, which is interesting. But you know, which now I have to proceed with caution. Now look at that.
Yeah.
The diamond hit.
So that's me sitting here. I'm looking at that and I'm going, I actually feel pretty good.
You do feel pretty
I
good?
do, because I wouldn't have, I don't know. I don't, because
Right.
I could be thinking the same thing about the
Right.
diamonds,
Exactly.
you know.
Right.
But if I'm thinking you think I have the diamonds and you have an ace,
Yep.
then I'm feeling pretty good.
And look what you just did. You just leveled.
Yeah.
So now you're leveling. You know,
Right.
that's what we would be doing. So now this diamond hits. This guy's like, oh shit,
Right.
I have no chance if he's got 2 diamonds. So now, if I were you, and if you're not worried about me having diamonds, because anybody who's going to make this raise with that is afraid of the diamonds.
That's what I would. Yeah.
Most
I
likely.
think I'd pick up on that.
But
And I have a diamond.
But so let's flip it around. So now let's take back the 11s. What's the scenario if I just call this?
So if you
Now,
just call that,
what are you thinking?
I'm definitely thinking pair.
You're automatically thinking pair.
I'm thinking pair. I'm thinking you have an ace. I was looking. Obviously the flush draws are there,
Right.
and yeah, if you have 2 diamonds, but the chances of you having 2 diamonds, I guess, is more than having 1 ace. But
Right.
but you wouldn't be playing with just any 2 diamonds.
No,
You know what I mean?
No,
so
no.
like, and you made the initial bet.
but I could have king jack of diamonds.
Sure, but I have the jack of diamonds.
Well, or
You
king
know what I'm
10
saying?
of diamonds,
Yeah.
or king 9 of diamonds,
But
or
like
something like that.
before the flop, the bet
Mm-hmm.
wasn't a diamond bet. It was you were betting on you had a high card or a
Yeah,
pair.
but you don't know that.
I do know that though, because why would you bet just like that on 2 diamonds?
Just
Who would do
blinds.
that? Yeah, but it didn't work. And then
Oh, right.
and then I bet, and you raised.
Right.
That's still not diamonds. You're playing that ace.
Right, but if I just call,
Yeah, because if you're calling, then you're on a draw.
right.
So if you're calling and you're on a draw, then I'm thinking maybe you have diamonds. Now that diamond comes.
So now, and also this
It's interesting. Yeah.
right? Also, this dynamic. This is a dynamic too, because now
That low straight.
Yeah, because I could have the low.
Yeah.
I'm next to the button, so my range is as wide as the Grand Canyon.
That's true. You did have last bet.
Right. And if I'm just trying to pick up the blinds, that didn't work.
But then you wouldn't have raised my bet. I feel like.
Well, no. Right. Well,
You know what I'm
so that's why we're rewinding here.
Yeah,
So now
yeah.
you're putting in your 6. I'm just calling your 6. Mm-hmm. That you really don't. I didn't really give you any information about what I have.
No, you gave me. I want to see another card.
So if my raising, I basically turn my
Yeah.
hand face up.
Right. Yeah,
I'm
your
pre-
calling would set off the diamond alarm in my head.
Exactly.
But your raising makes me think you're playing with
Ace.
that ace. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
What the actions that people do makes the hands polarized. Is what we call polarized.
Mm-hmm.
You're polarizing your hand. You're really just kind of
It really could be this or it could be that.
right.
Kinda,
It's
yeah.
either or.
Yeah.
And there's really no middle ground. I just call you. There's total middle ground.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm still in control, believe it or not.
If you with the call, yes.
Yes.
With the raise, no.
No,
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? That's so
isn't that insane?
Yeah. So
now-
yeah, because
so
going
now
into this
right?
before the flop, just on that bet
Yeah,
and with this flop,
yeah.
there's no way I'm thinking you have diamonds.
Nope.
Not even a little bit. With a call, now I'm thinking, all right, well, you have draws, or
Right.
or I don't know, or I'm thinking you just might be far enough into the hand where it's just the point of no return, and you just want to ride it out.
Never.
You know what I mean?
Never with that kind of action. No, you're never too far.
I guess not. Yeah.
because you got big chips,
Right, you got big chips.
right?
All right,
So,
so
right. So or what's the other possibility that we could have?
with this flop,
Yeah,
well, you got your flush draw, you got your straight draw, you got your and whatever pocket pair, or if you have 2 pair, or if you have
Set of
threes.
threes.
Yeah, if you have that like
So
the pocket
many.
pair is you could
right. So
you could like
But I'm going to think that if anybody's got 3 threes at this point, that raise is coming.
yeah, and also I'm not thinking 3 threes.
Right.
I feel like trips are an anomaly. I don't worry about trips,
yeah,
because
you
they can
should.
happen at any time.
Exactly. True.
Where on a
Right.
draw I can
Right.
can fuck around with.
You gotta figure it out. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
But like trips are just they
trips
just show up.
But trips have to be a possibility. They have to be in your thought process. Because then it goes back to the dynamic of what kind of player is this person? Mm-hmm. Is this person a conservative player? He's only going to raise with pairs or Broadway cards, something solid.
Right.
Threes are a little bit tricky because it's such a low card. It's a possibility because he's right next to the button and he's just trying to pick up the blinds and he's got a pair.
Right. So that's a good, it could be,
that's a
could be
good,
threes.
good strategy, right? There's so many theories that can go with these hands. It's mindless, and this is what I find so fascinating about.
All right, so you're me. You're in this position. He calls.
He calls.
What's your move? So then the 2 hits, right?
But the 2 hits.
Boom. We got the 2. It's on you.
With your hand.
And you already bet. You already opened up the bet. He raised it.
You know what? At this point, the diamond hits. If I have your hand, I'm gonna check.
Right.
Reason being, he checks back. You get a free card.
Exactly.
So that now you have a possibility. Look at that. Boom.
Beautiful. 2 pair. Look at that.
2 pair. So now you got the queen outs. Any queen, jack, or diamond. Mm-hmm. At this point, it's only 1 diamond in the deck that beats you.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So he has to have
and
the
there's
king of
10
diamonds.
other diamonds in the deck right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So
Theoretically.
theoretically.
So I got good odds.
Right. You have very good odds here. And also depends on his action too. I mean, obviously.
So I check.
Right.
If he checks, he's crazy because he's just letting it happen.
Well, he has to check. He's kind of forced to check.
Well, he can bet.
He could bet.
If he bet, that might put pressure on me to thinking that helped him.
Right. But you're going to realize I have this second best card to the nuts.
True. Yeah.
There's no way you're ever folding here.
Yeah. That's true.
You can't fold.
So whatever he bets, I'm calling.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So he kind of.
So now you're called in a check call box because there's no way you're folding here. There's no way you could ever fold here because no matter what he just called this. He has to have perfectly the king 10 of diamonds in order for that action. Any other diamond, he's an idiot.
Right.
For just, if he had lower diamonds, say maybe he had a 10-9, 10-9 of diamonds. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Obviously that's a raise on the flop because he doesn't have.
It's a different game, yeah.
Right?
But he's playing. What is he playing with again? He's playing with
he's got ace-9 of hearts.
Ace-9 of hearts, right?
Right. So now he just pooped his pants because the diamond got there, and you're leading out, so he could put you on the 10-9 of diamonds. So now, why is he going to bet if he knows he's just throwing his money away?
Right.
He's just going to check.
He's
going to check and hope you don't have any diamonds.
Yeah, and I'm going to hit that jack, and at that point,
and then boom,
it's game over. Yeah.
And then you're going to bet, and then he may call or he may fold.
Right.
But he's never at this point. He's never raising you.
Right. He hasn't done anything since the flop, really.
Right. So now, even if he felt you had the 1 diamond, this is actually the best card in the world for you because you beat any ace. Mm-hmm. The only thing you're losing to is 4-5, ace queen, and or
pocket aces or pocket whatever.
Pocket aces, pocket queens. Yeah. But you block those 2 cards because you have them. And that's another popular theory now, blockers. So, if there's a queen, the chances of him having a set of queens is so unlikely because there's only 2 left.
Right.
So it's like, it's just.
It happens, but it's
unlikely. Of course. But given the action, that's why you say you got to look at the action. You got to look what happens, look what people do. And then whatever they flip over, pay attention to what they flip over. And then you're like, oh my gosh, this guy's playing like a maniac. I could just do this to him all day.
Right.
Unless he changes, then he changes.
Unless he figures it out.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, cool. So this is what I'm taking down.
You're taking this down.
No matter which way you shape it.
Yeah. You had a good scenario there. Okay, so we'll go in order. Well, this guy's definitely not playing. Well, that guy might play.
Right. 9-10.
Mine 10, reasonable holding. Depending on the game dynamic.
How many players?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, that's a call.
Right. I call anything in the upper echelons.
Queen 5, depending on the player.
He folded. He called.
He limped. You know what? I mean,
bet on the queen.
Yeah, bet on the queen. Say he raises it to 5. He's got the position.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens.
I have to call.
You have to call.
I have to call.
Okay.
I'm going to call.
And I'm going to call for the scenario. This guy's now. See, this is the interesting thing too. Pre-flop, he made a 5. You call. This guy's only cost him 3 chips to win all this.
You got to see what happens.
9-1.
You can't
fold here.
Yeah, you can't fold.
Okay. So now we got 20 chips in the pot. Let's take a flop. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we've had an ace on every hand.
Every hand so far, right? Okay, so let's see what that is. Okay, so now this is actually going to be a fun one.
Yeah,
This is going to be a fun one. Okay, so now, yeah.
What did he fold?
Oh, 9-3.
Okay, so at least the 9's out there.
Right.
You know.
Right. So,
Wow. So we got two pairs of 9s. He had 9 too. That's crazy.
right.
Oh no, I thought this was a 9. Sorry.
No.
Okay, so we got
we got a gut
7,
shot.
8, 9, 10.
Right. Open-ended straight draw.
Got
Gut
straight
shot
here.
draw. Top pair.
Top pair.
Garbage.
Pretty much nothing. Right. So it's on me. I got top pair. I see
Right.
4 players. Right. I see a straight draw for sure. I'm like, someone's got some middle cards, which they obviously do.
Right.
But I'm gonna bet that ace. Right. There's $20 in there.
Right.
I kind of want that $20, so I'm gonna bet $10. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to see what happens with that person.
Okay.
And I got the top pair, and at least I think this will knock somebody out. It'll narrow down how many people I'm playing against. I think. So that's why I would do that. What do you think?
That is an option. But right. That's a good play. It's not a bad play. But the only thing I'll be worried about is obviously my 4's not a good kicker, but you're going to find that out.
That's kind of what I'm doing. I
Right.
want to
find that out.
someone's going to fold,
So, right.
and then I can see what I'm playing with. You know?
Depending on the type of player I am, I'm looking at a rainbow board with a gut shot straight draw. If I'm a little bit on the looser side, I'm gonna probably call that. But knowing it's me, I'm gonna fold it because I'm a little bit more conservative. This guy, the options are wide open here.
I feel like he has to call.
Right.
7, 8, 9, 10.
Well, he's never folding. 7, 8, 9, 10 rainbow. I'm thinking this guy's raising.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
for sure. So you bet 10. I think he's gonna. If he had this stack size, this amount, he's
all in.
He's all in.
Yeah. That's 22.
Yeah.
He's folding.
So he's folding.
He's
for
out.
Sure.
All right. So that's what I wanted, right?
Right.
So I got
that's
to.
what you. But now you're getting raised, and you have a bad kicker.
I'm still calling.
Right.
Yeah.
The reason being, it's 22. You're already in for 10. Only cost you $12.
Right. Exactly.
So-
Yeah. There's no doubt I'm calling.
Right.
That's funny. See, so right away that went from being like a crazy interesting hand, and all of a sudden,
Right.
see now if I would have checked, everyone would have kept playing.
Well,
Probably. You
it
know,
would have been
something else would have happened. You know.
I think if you check,
You bet.
no,
Check.
I check because I'm looking for a free card.
He checks. He checks.
He may checks. He does not check.
He bets.
because
Even with the queen.
because he let out first.
Right.
He's going to continuation bet and try to take it down.
And then obviously I'll call, you'll fold.
Right.
He'll call. So we'll just have an extra
Right.
guy in here. So if
Exactly.
I check, I keep him in,
Right.
basically.
Basically.
Yeah. Okay.
But the turn is very favorable for you, my friend.
Wow.
So we keep going, but you're still at risk.
Well, it doesn't matter. It's all
Oop.
in,
Yeah. But you win.
and I win.
Full house. Crazy.
Yep.
So this guy is eliminated. But just the interesting, the dynamics are so interesting that
But my plan worked.
your plan worked. To
My plan
perfection.
worked.
Excellent, absolutely. I know this guy I play with on Fridays. He has these little sayings. He he goes, if you chase the straight, you won't be here late.
Yeah.
So if we were playing a tournament, that guy really has no choice. He's got to go for it then and there. He's he may not
It's
have
the best hand he's had. Yeah.
Right. He may not have the greatest opportunities at that point.
Right.
You know.
And even if he gets a couple of pairs out of it or something like that, he has options. But when that ace came,
What's right?
Yeah.
Well, no, with your 3 aces, he was still alive. 7, 8, 9,
well,
10.
yeah, I guess he still had a chance to
He
catch
still
that
had a
card.
chance,
Yeah.
but once the 8 came out, obviously he's done. Or any other card that didn't make him straight. 6
That's
or
true.
Jack, he wins. But then again, at that point, he's only got 8 outs out of 47 cards or whatever the case may be. So there's really only 20% chance. Okay, so let's keep the 5.
Let's just say someone sat down.
Yeah, somebody got moved to the table because we lost a player. Okay. So he's the big blind. New player to the table. Depending on who it is, I would first hand I would fold that.
So that's a suited Jack 6?
No, not unsuited.
Unsuited?
Queen 4. Not in position. Maybe a call, depending on how he's playing. With this stack, no, I would fold it. Yeah. And
I'm gonna call.
You're gonna call.
Limp in.
I am gonna limp in also.
Good.
So let's see what this fella do. Yeah, he's just gonna check along. So he's got King 8.
Right.
So let's see it flop. Let's play it. Play it kind of. On the down here. So, interesting. So you're the dealer. With what I have, I would check.
Right. King 8.
King 8.
I don't know.
Well, he's open ended. Well, he's got a gut shot.
He's got the gut shot to the nuts. He needs a little more help, but he's got some options.
I would check to see what the card is, but he's got a lot going on here.
Right. So he checks. So if I get 2 checks my way, these guys are out, right?
Right, they're out.
These guys are out. So I would bet here.
You would bet?
Yeah,
okay.
I'm going to bet here. I'm going to bet the pot.
Okay, so 6 chips.
Yeah, I'm going to bet the pot on that.
In my hand, I would not play anymore.
Right. He would probably...
I think he would have to call.
Yeah, so see, that's what I would do. So now I don't have to worry about you anymore.
Right, right. 4 diamonds. That is the affectionate term, brick. So now, back on him, I would check again.
Right, I would bet again.
You would bet again.
I'd do 12. I'd double it.
So you bet half.
Half. I've doubled the bet I bet last time.
Right.
So that should be like a quarter of the pot. And it's enough to it's enough to keep him in.
Definitely enough. Depending on, what his... He's still got these big chips though, so he's still got plenty of equity. Mm-hmm. So he would have to. I would think he has to see a river at this point because it's relatively cheap compared to his stack size. He's got big possibilities. The only thing that scares him is the diamonds, and there it is. That's a tough scenario because he's got. I think this guy checks again.
Yeah, see, he checks, I check, and he wins. Yeah.
Because
he's got that king.
Yeah, he's got that king. 10-5. Oh, wow, you turned diamonds and you had a pair of 10s. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I had the diamond draw. I had the 10s.
Well, what I would do in your scenario, if you were on the button, I would not have limped.
Oh, before the flop?
Yeah. If in that scenario with this kind of holding, I would be either a raise or fold.
Okay. All right.
Right? Because going to this flop, you have no information at all.
Right. Which is why, I limped in because 10-5, it only cost me, it's not good, but I wanted to see a flop.
Right.
And I got the 10, now my confidence goes up a little bit.
Right. But your confidence goes up a little bit, but you're better off just taking the blinds down because.
Why leave it to chance?
Yeah. Right. Take it down. If you get re-raised, you could just fold it.
Yeah.
I just had a crappy ace-3. No good. You always got to be thinking of what your opponents are doing, in every scenario. It's just, that's why when you play for such long sessions, that as soon as you get away from the table, you're like, oh, yeah, I'm so drained.
Yeah. Because you're using
your mental energy. You're using, you're trying to control your breathing. You're trying to do all sorts of things. And
So do you see a lot of guys just come in with a big stack and then start just scooping up blinds left and right?
Yeah.
What do you do about that?
You got to tighten up.
Yeah.
You got to play more conservative. Wait for a bigger hand. You can, if he's showing down good cards, he could just be on a hot streak. You don't know. You gotta figure out how is he doing what he's doing? What does he see? What has he got? What's he playing? Trying to find out what kind of hands he's playing.
Right.
So if he's just coming in there raising, just trying to be a bully with the chips, then you gotta wait for a good hand and just re-raise him pre-flop and see what he does.
Right.
If he comes along, he's got something decent. If he folds it out, then he's just trying to bully it down.
Gotcha.
That's why you got to tighten up a little bit. if you got position on him, you could re-raise a little bit more loosely. You could try and find out where he's at.
Right.
But don't do it if you're that guy. Don't.
Right. Of
Don't.
course.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So let's say if it's like this guy comes to the table, he's bullying, and well, let's say I just came to the table and I'm bullying. Like one of these guys can, do that
Right.
and figure out
Let
what
them
I'm
do that,
doing.
yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Sorry, they gotta do it, man. You got the schnoz. It comes with.
I know. It comes with the sound.
Yep.
Oh, me, I'm the worst when I sneeze. Oh my god, dude. I never sneeze less than 5 times.
All right. So here's what we'll do.
Okay.
Let's play every other hand. So
Sure.
I'll play. So what do we got here? He's a little blind.
Yeah.
I'll play his cards. You play his cards.
Sure. You play his
I'll
cards.
play his cards.
And your cards, and I'll play my cards.
Yeah.
It's fine.
That'll work out. Let's put him in. So he's in for
Oh,
2.
yeah.
All right.
I got this guy.
Still good here? Yeah, we're still good. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I got this guy.
Okay, you got that guy too.
I got that guy. Okay. So it's this guy's bet. So this guy, he's wow, he's got a short stack.
Yes, he does.
So he's a 5.
Yeah.
All right, so he's gonna toss in. He's gonna go all in.
Yeah, he's gonna go all in.
He's gonna go all in. Started off right off the bat, get it going. He's all in.
Okay.
I'm gonna call him.
Okay, so based on that information, I would let go.
Okay.
You saw this guy, right?
Yes.
So what would he do?
Let me see it again. He would call. I think.
You
I
call
would.
also?
I would. Just to play a different game. Like get this guy out of the way and
Okay.
play every game. And we'll
And
keep
now, it only costs this guy. It only costs him 9.
it. Yeah.
So I think he's gonna call.
Okay.
Here we go. Okay. So now,
This is
everything
where he
else,
can
he's all in. Right.
He's in.
Everything else is side pot.
All right. Cool. So
Okay.
I'm playing 2. You're playing 1.
Right.
Here we go.
Okay. Okay.
It's on him.
Yep.
Let's see this again. I'm thinking he checks. Honestly, I'm thinking he checks. Yeah.
And I think this guy's gonna bet. I think he's gonna put 10 chips.
He's put in 10. What are these? What are we calling these?
Those are hundreds.
These are hundreds. Okay. So it's 1/500.
Well, do
10?
25. 25.
25. Okay.
Yeah, usually it's 1 5 25.
1/5. Okay. So he's betting $10. We already put him in for 11.
Right.
Right. I'm raising.
Raising.
I'm gonna go 20 over.
20. Oh, so 30 total.
30 total.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about this guy?
He's probably folding on that. He's probably folding on that.
All right, so this guy's gonna call.
He's calling.
So 25, 5, 30.
This guy's like, I'm screwed.
Yeah, he's probably like, oh shit. This guy's gonna check.
I'm gonna put that guy all in. Right, with my stack, I have a lot of chips here.
Right.
With his stack, I'm looking at 75, maybe $80,
Right.
which is this to me.
Right. 'Cause you got 30 here. You got
Yeah,
whoops.
20 something there, right?
No, you got 40.
40. Yeah, I want this pot, right?
You
So
want it all, right?
I want this pot as is. I got $70 coming to me for my 30 or whatever I bet.
Well, it's $60, right?
Right. So
Yeah, that turn was not good for this guy. So he's again. This is going to come down to a read. So you're going all in on a paired board with a club draw and a straight draw.
right.
So now I'm giving you either a king and a jack, pocket jacks.
So you're thinking I don't care about those twos. You're thinking those twos don't matter to me.
Right. I think the twos help you, but not directly affect you.
Right. And they clearly don't affect you.
Right.
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 Otherwise,
Well, no, they do affect his hand.
Okay.
But the twos, right? Because if you had quad twos, why are you going all in?
Right.
You want to keep people around.
I'm thinking if you had a 2, you'd be all in already. Right.
He would have bet the 2.
Yeah.
That's a possibility. That's a thought.
You know what I'm saying?
So that's why I'm not giving you a 2.
Right.
Because you raise me on the flop. Mm-hmm. I bet you raise me on the flop, so I'm thinking you got a high king automatically, or 2 pair or something like that, or set or something like that. So, but you didn't re-raise when he went all in.
I just called him.
You just called him. So I'm discounting pocket kings.
Okay.
Pocket jacks maybe. That's open. So now you turn a full house. Possibility, or just have 2 pairs. I'm strongly leaning to king and jack.
Okay.
So now it's going to be based on a soul read with this guy. He's going to have to read that you're projecting massive amounts of strength. He's going to discount the 2s because if you had a 2, you would want him in still. If you had jack 2, you'd still want him in still. You wouldn't want him to fold. But he's not giving you a full house. He's not giving you a set of jacks because why are you betting out a full house? When you probably discount pocket kings, he can't have pocket kings either because he just called pre-flop.
Right.
So now this is based. So your $80 is telling me that you're still vulnerable to lose.
Okay.
Okay. So now he has what this gentleman has. Can definitely ruin your parade, for sure. Because he's got an ace, he's got 1 over. He's got 1 over, and he's got clubs. So what does he do here? $80. That's a lot of money to win. So let's see the 80.
Well, whatever it is here, because these are 25, 25,
75, 85.
84. That's 10.
80, 86.
86.
86. So right for his life. If this is a cash game, he calls. Tournament, I think he folds.
Cash game he calls. Tournament
because he could just rebuy in.
Sure.
In a cash game.
Right.
So
tournament though, you think
tournament,
you really think he gives up what he already threw in at this point? You don't think he just goes for it
for his tournament life?
Yeah.
Not with the paired board.
Not the hill to die on.
Right. It's not the hill. Right. He still has enough
to play another.
Right.
Hand.
We're playing 1-2. He's still got 86 left.
Right. So he has plenty of hands.
So he has plenty of hands left to take control of the action.
Sure.
Right. So he'll fold the tournament cash game. He's coming in no matter what because now he's vested in.
Right.
There's more when it's real cash. You're more vested in,
and that's where the difference is, really, from the cash and the tournament. Right.
So let's see what happens. Oh, wow, that would have been ugly for this guy. That would have been ugly. So let's see what this guy had. So you win this. And if we're playing tournament, you win this. This guy has ace 3. So he's just got kings and 2s with an ace kicker. This guy would have the flush. What did you have? King Jack.
Nailed it. Right on the head. Yeah, but I would have, that would have given.
Well, but that's what that's where you got to sit. Before you make an action, give yourself.
So this guy has more chips, right? In that scenario,
right?
I'm taking all of his money regardless, because he'll hit that flush and he'll be like all in.
Well, no. He's not going to be all in. Not with a double paired board
on an ace king high flush.
Right, because if he's
risking this exact scenario.
Exactly. Exactly right.
All I need is a king.
All you need is a king.
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
Which he assumes I already have.
Even if you have, right. He assumes you already got this.
Right.
Now you have a full house automatically.
Right.
Yeah. He's never putting in all the. If he's a thinking player.
Imagine not putting in on an ace king high flush.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? What a hand. That's a good hand right there.
That was good stuff.
So he's out again. He's lost twice already.
Yeah. No, he's a little bit of a donkey. Come on, we want him. We want him back in.
I know, right? We wanted money.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That stuff right there is just fascinating. Those hands, how so many things to think about. So crazy.
So crazy. That was cool. All right.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, so let's
put this guy back in here. Let's give him this. It's fine.
yeah,
Let's
get some of that.
Give that guy a couple red chips here.
Yeah,
He can play. All right. So
He's in.
all right. So he's the little blind. We got the big blind.
All right. Man, I haven't gotten anything.
Yeah. And there's been an ace in every hand so far.
Yeah, I know.
Wow. Well, let me start shuffling and
Yeah.
change it up a little
There
bit.
you go. Change it up. Maybe it was my shuffling.
Yeah. Rotating the aces around.
But as we said before. Oh yeah, there you go. Your grandfather taught you that too? Nice.
Yeah, he taught me a lot of stuff.
And that's another thing too that you gotta. I've seen some
You've seen people
pretty
try
good
it?
mechanics,
Yeah.
in my day.
They watch rounders a couple of times and then they think they're
No, like actual dealers who could actually do all
Really
that stuff,
slickly do it?
and they've done it.
yeah.
Yeah, it's been. That's you got to be careful out there.
Yeah. I'm pretty good at seeing it just because I can
Yeah,
know. I know how to
because
do
you know
it.
what they're doing.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. All right. Now, since you could do all that, I'm going to cut that. So yeah, Delia, right? There you go.
All right. Who do you want to play this time?
So you played 3 last time. I'll play 3 this time.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, just play your side.
Yep. Play my side. You play your side.
Well, let's do opposites, so we have to go
Okay. Yeah.
next move. You know what I'm saying?
All right. Yeah, that's true.
So I don't even care if they're in front of me. You can play 1, 2, 3. I'll play these 2.
Okay, that's fine.
That works. You're playing this stack now.
I'm playing this thing.
Okay. So yeah,
That's a fold.
let me just see what I'm working with.
That's a fold.
Really?
Yeah.
So that's 2 folds.
Right.
Let me see this again here.
Okay.
This is a limp in, I think.
Okay.
Again, it depends on the person. Like if
Depends on the
if
person.
they want to play,
Right.
they'll limp in.
Okay.
Yeah.
This guy is a raise, but he's gonna make it 7.
This guy's calling it. This guy probably not, to be honest with you.
Probably not.
Probably
Okay.
not.
So we'll just keep that.
Yeah. I'm down to 2 again.
Okay,
All right.
down to 2 again. Okay, let's see the flop.
All right. Wow, what a surprise, an ace.
Shocker. Okay, this guy, depending on the dynamic, he's either going to check. I think he'll check.
All right. This guy's gonna bet, I think.
Yeah,
I think that'd be the right play. Probably bet like
Okay.
$10.
$10.
Yeah, I bet a little less than the pot.
Given that, yeah, he can't continue.
Yeah.
He's gonna fold.
Yeah, and that was a play for the pot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Totally.
this guy, he's working with
Right.
a
Right. So right.
you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
he's
it's
got
a good
10-7, he's got a lot of possibilities.
Right.
But if you have
Well,
an
he's just got a flush draw, really.
you got and well,
No
yeah.
straight draw. Now,
There's that-
he
there's
just
that
had the
flush.
flush.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
But yeah, that is the play with that.
Right.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's a stand, and that happens more often than not.
yeah, that's like your normal
So
hand.
that's why
you
it's
know?
so right. That's why it's so important when you're the button that you take advantage of that stuff like that.
Okay.
Because run it back. What's the scenario if this guy raises?
Yeah, so he had a 6-8 offsuited black.
Right.
Right. So
Right. He would have flopped the pair 8s.
right. But he was limping in, but once they got raised, he was out.
Right. But
So he would have had to stick around.
typically, that the 10-7 suited is a good defense against this guy,
Right.
but not against this guy,
Right.
because of the positioning. You go, this guy, his range is obviously wide open. He could easily have an ace there, or even higher spades than you.
Right. I'm playing 3.
Yeah, it's fine.
Play me.
Yeah,
Skip
Yeah.
you.
I'll do this.
And I'll do this.
Okay, good.
I know, right? You think we deal it so we can play?
Depends on how I'm running, but I'm going to fold that one for this scenario. Oh, that's you. I got this guy.
So he's calling.
Calling.
Play. Yeah.
This guy's raising.
Okay.
He's going to make it. I'll do a tournament style. I'll just go 7. Cash game, your stacks tend to be deeper. You usually have more big blinds than a tournament.
Right.
So you could raise it up a little bit, because $7 in a 1-2 cash is really nothing. You got to make it 11 or 12 or something like that just to get the pot up.
This guy is probably gonna call.
Okay.
I would say just call. He's already in for the 1.
Okay.
I would honestly fold this.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll fold that.
Fold?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was the big blind too. But
Right. Okay.
all right, let's see what we got here. Clubs. Wow. And it's on this guy, right?
Right.
He would check, I would think.
Yeah, he's going to bet.
Yeah.
He's going to bet 12.
Yeah, at this point, he would fold.
Right.
100%.
Yep.
It doesn't matter what he
Right.
has.
So, it doesn't matter. Right. So that's the position.
Yeah, he is Gretzky.
He is Gretzky, of course.
So, yeah.
So 5. He would have won. But that's why.
Isn't
that's
that
why
crazy?
this. Right. That's.
But he can't let it get there.
He can't let it get there.
Can't let it get there, right?
Plus, he's not like he's dead in the water at this point. A 9 is probably a bad card for the 9s,
Right.
Because it straightens somebody out.
Right.
King or 8,
Mm-hmm.
He's got the club backup, all sorts of things.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But that that's why that's why continuation betting is so important. It's it's slow playing. It's usually not a good idea. A famous poker player named Phil Locke always said, bet your monsters.
Mm-hmm.
Either you're going to win a big pot, or you're going to lose a big pot, or you're going to win a small pot.
Right.
You'd rather win.
Right. Yeah.
Makes sense. Unless you have there's just no. I moved it already.
I did. Yeah. All right.
Just unless there's just no possible hand that could beat you.
Right. Unless you know you're going to
Right.
win. Right. Like it's pretty easy to know.
Right. I mean, if when we had the 2-2s if you had quad 2s,
You're not going to lose that.
nothing's losing.
No.
Especially with the cards that are out there. But you had the ace deuce of diamonds. The other possibility is the low straight flush, ace through 5 straight flush, which is next to impossible.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we're
All right, so you play this one, I'll play this one, you play this one, I'll play this one, and
I'll
you play this one. Yeah.
Okay. Okie dokie. So here we go. This position, I'm gonna fold this one.
This is one of those. It depends on the player hands.
Right.
I'm gonna say he's gonna call.
Okay.
I'm gonna say he's gonna call. Yeah.
I'm on the dealer button here. Yeah, he's gonna fold.
He's gonna fold.
Yeah.
I would definitely at this point, if you're the big blind, he
Cold.
called, he folded, I would raise.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. Let's make it. So that's the call. 6 over.
So 8.
To 8.
My hand's a little tricky. I think it's just a fold.
Yeah.
Because it's too. I'd rather make the raise than call a raise with that hand.
Right. Okay.
So you looked at this guy, right?
Yeah, I could flip it.
Yeah.
If you want. Yeah, that's fine. So I'm going
King.
against. Right. So I
Wow.
did. So I called just for the bait because there's just a lot of possibilities there, and I want to see who has cards. Now the issue is, we have similar hands here.
So this guy, for certain, is never folding this hand, ever.
Right.
So, but this is a great scenario because this is the crux of it all.
What do you think?
If
This is
you're
like,
gonna
what,
be
51-49 a little bit right now.
No. This is way ahead.
Way ahead.
Way ahead. Because you have two overs to 2 unders, spades to unsuited.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, I have a 65-35.
Okay.
But this is really where money can be made in poker. Marginal hands where they're like really close together, mesh well, with the boards, a lot of boards that can come out. So this is probably, if the cards come right, this could be a good all-in
Right.
get
Banger.
chips
Yeah.
banger. Right. So let's see a flop.
Wow.
So that's crazy.
Wow.
Right. So this is actually the worst flop for king queen.
All right. So he's there.
Well,
Oh, I'm the bet.
no, you're betting.
Right.
I'm thinking you're gonna bet here.
I'm thinking I'm going to bet too. Right. I'm thinking I'm betting at least a pot.
Right.
Right. So what do we got?
Well, yeah.
Just for if it were me,
If it were you, you would bet
Yeah.
the pot.
yeah. I mean, you could bet half, but like, why chance anything? And
But then again, why bet full pot when half pot will get the job? Same thing done.
see, the thing is, half pot might keep him around to catch something. It's like this. There's still a lot of possibilities here. If I bet full pot, I feel like he has to make a decision. That's the way I look at it.
Okay.
You know, I'm forcing him to make a decision because if I go in for half, he can be all right. I'll go for half, and then let's see what happens. You know, whereas if he goes in for full with me,
Right.
I know he's got something to mess around with.
Well, if he's
Right.
going in full with you, he's got an 8. Almost
Or a
guaranteed.
pocket pair. That's or an over pocket pair.
over pocket
Yeah,
pair. Well,
right.
then you're cooked anyway.
Right.
Because what over pocket pair is going to have? 10s,
Or jacks, right?
jacks, or queen. You know,
Or queens or kings.
But if queens or kings, he's not going to limp.
Right.
So you can discount that automatically. Because
Well, maybe.
no. You're right. It's a possibility.
Right. It's not like
not a smart possibility,
not
but it is a possibility. But I mean, I just wouldn't do that if I were him.
right.
But I think in this given climate, these type of players that we're representing here, I think this is an easy fold to your flop bet.
Right. But half you think keeps him in?
Half? No, I think half. He just no matter what you put,
matter
you
what I
in
put
two
in,
chips, he's gonna
He's going to fold. All right.
right because he's gutter balled. He needs 2 cards to make. He needs your cards to make a straight.
Right.
And he's probably he could be against an 8. Could be up to 9. He would have to hit king queen to
Even
Right,
a
and-
contender. Yeah.
If he hits his queen, he's cooked because you hit the straight. Mm-hmm. Now straight is made. He's only got 2 pair.
Yeah. So he's folding no matter what.
Right. That's what I'm saying. You
So
know,
why? Yeah.
why
Okay.
why risk why risk it and boom, there it is.
Yep.
Look at that. Sick.
Wow.
That's just tough. Well, right. So yeah, he's just got 3 pair. That's really nothing.
Right.
You know, your straight is still good. But realistically, you hit this queen, it's going to go check.
Yeah, because he's not going to take any chances
Right.
on that.
Nobody's going to take chances here. You know, especially with your stack dynamic. You know, the stacks you got.
So let me ask you this then.
Yes, sir.
How do I? I guess. Well, let's do it the next hand.
Sure.
I'll bring it up again. Sure. I need more people in the hand. I guess.
Yeah, I got you.
Like, what's the best?
See, the
what I'm
best-
looking for. The best way is how do I? I know I'm going to win, right? How do I? What's the best? Not the best way.
Keep him in.
Yeah. Like how do you reel him in and keep him there?
Sure.
Like when do you do it? When not to do it? Like obviously when you have the best hand,
Right.
I think is a
Well,
great time
that's-
to do it.
Well, that's the.
you know.
We'll start there.
Yeah.
Get the best hand first,
Right.
and then make sure that they feel comfortable that you're not there.
Right.
So that's the easiest way to do it. Okay,
So before we look at him, let's see.
so
You,
yeah,
me,
yeah,
you.
right, you, right,
And we should just add a 6 player. So we
yeah.
don't-
You want to do that? We can do that after this.
after this.
After this.
Okay.
Fold. That's a fold.
This is me, right?
Yeah.
It's on him.
Yeah.
With this hand, I'm me personally.
Yeah.
I would limp in
Okay.
just in case everyone limps in and I hit something.
Right.
That's kind of what I would do here, and I think most people would do that. So
Okay.
you might fold it,
Right.
just thinking it's not worth
Or-
it. But
Well, there's more than one option though. There's more than 3 options. 2 options.
well,
excuse me.
raise.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he's not gonna raise it.
But see, that's where you got to get
right.
the table dynamics.
Right. And
Again,
then you gotta see who's
you gotta
making
see
who's taking
who's
those
doing
chances.
what. Right. So if you're this close to the button, if you're the button and you've been playing kind of conservative, but if you're showing good hands and you're
Right.
showing like But if you're making moves and stuff like that, then yeah. Like if you want to try and see a flop cheap, right? But if this guy's thinking and he's doing the same thing, if he's a good thinking player, like, he's going to be raising here a lot of the time, even because he did that.
Right.
For
But
no
if he
other
raises,
reason. But if he raises, he's got to think. He has to think about a little bit.
right.
So
Well, he's gonna raise for sure.
he's going to raise for sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
so he's just gonna. What is it? 2 people in? 3 people? All right. So I'm just gonna do 6.
6. That's a good one. Okay, let's see what the little blind's got here. Facing a raise and calling is not a good option. Raising is not a good option. So fold is the only option for him because he can't play that hand out of position.
Okay.
And what about your big blind?
That's me. So he would call.
He would call.
He would call. He might even raise, but
Right.
I don't know. I'm thinking right now he would call.
Call.
Yeah.
Okay. This guy's a fold. And what about your speculative?
So I'll let you play this hand then.
Sure.
So
No, that would just.
yeah, he would throw that.
Yeah.
Once if they all called around, he was.
I wouldn't even.
That's what I mean. You
I
would have
wouldn't even
folded
see
it,
the rear. You're right.
but
You're right.
sometimes you see a queen.
Yeah, see. Yeah, but you got kicker problems. So, okay, so you got your 2 players.
Cool. So let's see the flop here. Wow. Whole lot of nothing.
A whole lot of nothing. Obviously, this guy checks.
Right. So now, what do you think this guy does? Right?
Well, yeah, he just bet it and win it.
You think so?
Oh, absolutely. Because you
just
have
bet
a straight draw,
$5.
right?
Right.
This guy could have a jack, catches his second card on the next card. That scenario before, what I said was, either win a small pot or lose a big pot.
Right. Win a small pot.
Win a small pot.
Win a small
Just
pot.
win it. Right?
I think so. Yeah. So yeah, I could bet anything. And
Right.
He would probably.
Yeah,
fold.
he's gone. So see, now, what if somebody had 7-5?
Yeah.
You're toast. Wow, nice hand.
Yeah.
The
right.
Rockets. The best hand in poker.
I'm telling you, man, aces are all over the place.
All right.
It's the best hand in poker until it isn't.
Right, exactly. Best hand pre-flop.
Yeah, I wanna get a game
Always get pumped up when I see aces. But you got to play them right. You can't get married to them. That's the whole trick of it.
Right.
If you flop
You can't
bad,
hang on to it. Like sometimes you got to fold it.
sometimes you got to fold it.
Right.
Obvious straight, you got to fold it. Obvious flush, you got to fold it. Unless you have the suit, then you can kind of hang around.
Yeah. Then you got to hang around.
So we're gonna add a 6th guy. Now you are raking it in, my friend. You're having some.
I'm doing well.
You're doing well.
Let's see the stack right here. And you went to the World Series, right?
I did.
Yeah?
I did one year. I played in a $1,500 event. I was not as educated, and
Yeah, this was a few years back. Right?
yeah, it was a few years back. It was about 2007 or so.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so it was
Long time ago.
Yeah, well, a long time ago. No,
7. That's 12 years.
yeah,
ago.
no. I'm sorry. Well, I would have to think about it. But
Yeah.
it's been a few years for sure. For sure. But anyway, yeah. But those are just insane. I mean, just in one room, thousands of poker tables.
Yeah.
It's just insane. It's so great because you just kind of walk around and you can just mingle with the poker pros you see on TV, and you get their autograph. They're all cool. They're all like want to promote the game. They all want to make the game better for everybody, and they're all about it. It's really interesting. They may not have a whole heap of time to talk with you, but they'll
Sure.
take a picture with you. They'll sign autographs because they want to get their names out there, just like any other
And yeah.
sports, player or something like that. The ones that do sign the autographs. And it's never and that's the cool thing about poker is like people rarely boo poker players when they're watching them play.
Oh yeah.
Because it's just like at a tennis match when somebody either person gets the point, everybody claps.
Yeah.
This is the same thing.
Yeah. It's just everyone's there for the sport, really, for the game.
For the game itself, right? Because it's such an individual sport that you're just if you're a fan
Right. It's not,
one.
you're not rooting
right.
for a team.
You're not rooting for a team. Right. Exactly. Right. Okay, so we got
6 players in
we
this
had
one.
6 players now.
So every other, we'll just do every other. I
yeah,
guess.
every other. So you, me, you.
Cool.
And me. Okay, so I've got
It's on me.
yeah,
It's on me.
and I got this one. I would fold that, but I don't know. You may want to play that one.
I'm going to raise.
Okay.
We'll do 6.
Oh wait, this is you.
Because it's on him.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. This guy folds.
That guy folds. This is me.
That's you.
Folds.
Folds.
That's
6.
me?
That's you.
All right.
This is me.
We'll get it right.
We'll get it right eventually.
He's going to fold anyway.
Yeah, he's gonna fold.
That's it. Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Quick hand.
Quick hand. Yup.
You know?
There you go.
So I was questioning in my mind now, should I have
So now there
just called
you can
and
limp
let
in
everyone come in
and see what
then-
happens.
Yeah.
Because
Because that's the
now you're
position.
trapping.
Mm-hmm.
So if that was this guy. So now this scenario, this was my
Right.
hand on the button. So let's say you limp for 2. Oh yeah. That's right. You're right. Okay. So
Right.
now
That's this guy.
depends on this guy.
See, this guy might limp in
He might limp in now.
because
Right.
you know, right? So now
This
turns,
guy's folding no matter what.
this guy turns into this. What do you
Right. So now this guy is seeing.
So you're seeing this guy fold because it's just not suited. The only reason why he
Yeah,
can stay in
is
is
suited is the
suited,
spades,
yeah.
right? Exactly. So now he's seeing limp. Now he's like, oh,
raise.
free money, raise.
Yeah, raise, right?
So now he's got 2 limpers. He'll probably make it 8. Obviously, we saw these guys; they're going to fold out. So now,
Re-raise.
obviously, the king he comes over the top,
Right.
but now he can pile a lot, so he can go
Like 4 times over, 5 times
like
over.
22.
Right,
something
and
like
then
that.
he's out,
He's out,
and now it's down to these 2.
Now he's just like, right.
Yeah.
Now these are napkins.
But then he just made 10 more bucks.
exactly
Yeah.
with little resistance,
And little risk.
little
Little
risk.
He was winning.
right.
He was winning.
He knows he was winning
Yeah.
at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the reason why you want to pile like that
Because he might call.
because A, he could call. B, if he re-raises, he knows he's in trouble because realistically, what are you going to re-raise there with?
aces.
Aces.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So that's why I'm saying, when you bet, every time you're betting, you're defining your hand. You're telling people, now I'm going to limp raise it. This person's got to think, well, this guy's got aces now. He just limp raised with aces. Kings, same difference.
Yeah, something high, high pair.
Something high,
You
right?
could put him on a high pair.
But then he just scooped all that dead money.
Right.
Yeah. So that's a play. Raising there is also good too. But yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, I was essentially trying to get the same result by raising,
Right.
just to catch a little earlier.
Right.
Had I been a little bit more patient,
Right.
and
Exactly.
limped in, that would have been a little bit more lucrative. So,
Also,
and that was before even no flop. You know what I mean? That's what's so crazy about this game.
yeah,
I love it.
Exactly. And I don't recommend those free like Zynga.
Mm-hmm.
It's not real poker
Right.
because they put bots in and
Yeah, and you're playing against a
call
computer.
and stupid.
There's no stake.
There's no stake. Not that there's no stake. It's just not realistic play.
Right.
It's just totally not the same thing.
I feel like in poker there has to be a stake because then you're more conscious about what you're doing. Because anyone could just no stakes. You can just do whatever you want. Call everything.
Exactly. Alrighty, here we go.
Is this good?
Yep.
I'm calling.
Okay. This guy's folding.
Wait, hold on. Let's do every other so we can play against each other.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll play yours. You play that guy.
Okay.
This guy's calling. I think.
This guy's raising.
That guy's raising. Okay.
Gonna make it 8.
This guy's folding.
Okay. Oh, and I can play this guy. Depends on his outlook on this guy.
Right. So he's on the button. He put up a raise. Everyone limped in. He's the big blind now.
Big blind now.
So he's kind of a wild card at this point. He can kind of
right. He can kind of, and plus he's been a little bit tricky. He's got king. This guy's got kings and stuff like that. I don't think he would re-raise. I think he would just call.
He would just call the 8.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna re-raise. And I'm gonna go 8 over your 8.
So 16.
Right. So. Because I want this to come out interesting.
Yeah, that's gonna be garbage.
Yeah, it's 14 to him. Like, if that hand was worth 14, and I feel like you would have bet earlier.
Who 14 to who?
Well, if it would have been.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right. But now it's only 8 to this guy.
Right.
I think. Just gotta make change here. I would think this guy's gonna see a flop.
Yeah.
Because his holding is strong enough. This guy, I think he's done. Even though I think he's done. You know what? No.
It's 8 more to him.
It's
right?
8 more, right.
So my question to you for this guy, right?
Yes.
If it's worth 8, like, why let it see the flop? Why not re-raise? And try and
Because you're showing strength.
Exactly.
Right.
So why let it? He's saying just like, you know what? Let's go to the flop and see.
Let's go to the
who
flop
wins.
and see what happens.
Yeah. Let's just go to the arena and battle out and
to see if right. Because if he's re-raising him, what's going to happen if he re-raises him there?
That's a risk he's going to take.
That's the risk he's going to take.
Yeah.
But you have positioned the entire hand the rest of the way.
It's true. So
he's going to know what you're going to do, and if he flops bad, he can just eject and get out.
All right. So just call. That's the right time to call.
Right.
All right.
This guy is a little bit loose call. I personally wouldn't have made it. I wouldn't even have called.
Okay, so this is against your better judgment, but
That's
he's doing
against
it.
my better judgment, but let's do it for the.
So we're all. So that's what we have here.
That's what we got.
So what do we got in the pot right now? We got
16
50,
times
40?
3.
16 times 3.
Yeah.
So that's 48.
48. So 48 in the pot. Ooh. Usually they don't tell you the amount unless you know.
Well, I always like to know.
But right, of course.
Yeah.
So we got a flop here of 10, 8, 3.
Wow. Interesting. Clubs too.
Clubs. So this guy's checking.
He's checking. So this is a weird spot to be in, right? Because now I'm in the middle, right? If I check, it puts it on him just to see what he'll do, which is what I'm gonna do.
You're gonna check. This is in the pot too. Okay.
But I get that it's a different because I was showing so strongly.
Right.
That makes me think that I didn't get anything, but I'm checking.
Because it could be either two ways: checking that you missed, or checking the slow play.
Exactly.
So, but this guy has to bet.
Has to, right?
Has to,
Yep.
Absolutely.
So really, I just want to see what he thinks those cards are worth.
I think he's going to go 30. He's going to go up big.
So what's this guy going to do?
Oh, whoop.
He's out, right?
Yep.
So now it's between me and this guy. All right.
Yeah.
So I see that. I see one of two things. Either he has a pocket pair
Right.
that's really good and it's over the 10. Or he just wants to make the play for the pot because there's a lot of money in the pot pre-flop.
Okay.
So what
There's
I
another-
would do...
There's another possibility.
What's the other possibility?
Well, I can't
He
tell.
hit something?
He hit something.
Yeah. I don't think that's the case. Because the 10 scares me. Because up until that, you got to think everyone was playing with either pairs or face cards.
Right.
Right? Because there was a lot of betting going
Right.
on. You know, the clubs, you know, I'm not too worried about it
Right.
because that's the, you know, again, it's a 1 in 4
Well,
shit. You know, like
True.
I'm
Right.
concerned
You
about it,
Can't discount the clubs.
but I just
Right. But you don't put them on clubs.
I don't.
Okay, gotcha.
I don't. The 10's bothering me, but it also could be an over pocket pair.
Right.
So that's kind of where I'm feeling it out. So you bet 30.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna raise him 30 over.
Really?
Yeah. So there's your 30. Let's do another 30. I feel I've already won. That's why.
So he's going to look at this and he's going to say he's got
Right. I'm going. Do you want to play another hand after this or not? Or is it like are you gonna bet the town on this? Is this the hell you're gonna die on? I'm giving him that choice.
I think with a stack size, you only min raised him with what he's got left to call because he can't. I just don't see how he can fold this hand. So I think he's going to go with it all.
He's going to go all in.
Yep.
Right. So at this point, I'm going to have to call.
Okay.
Obviously. Because I'm not going to just fold there.
Right.
So I call him. What does he have there?
25, 35, 38.
38?
Mm-hmm.
25. 25.
Two reds.
35. So I'm calling him.
Okay.
So he either has trips.
Right.
Or overpair. What do you think?
Well, I know what he's got.
Oh, I'm saying it's
well, I think I think you have trip. You could have an overpair. I don't think you have trips.
Okay.
So he's got ace 10. Which is right. It's going to happen every time. But the only reason I took that line of action, the money that's invested, he's got top pair, and he's got the backdoor flush.
Mm-hmm.
If he didn't have this ace of clubs, it's definitely a different story.
Sure. Because then you're just playing a pair.
Right. Oh.
There it goes.
There it is, and that's it.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah, crazy.
Wow. People are going to think we made this up. Look at this.
Right. Isn't that nuts?
Wow.
But that's legit, and both plays are totally reasonable.
Right. Yeah, this was everyone made the right choice.
Right.
But this is what happened.
Just the way it goes.
And this is around what I thought. Like I was thinking, okay, I have the top pair on the board, right? Mm-hmm. Even though it's jacks, pocket jacks.
Right, you're over the board.
Yeah, even if he has a pair of tens with an ace, which is kind of what I was thinking.
Exactly.
I'm in good shape, So, and then that just solidified.
But also, this
and it's not a big risk with my stat size, right?
This guy, it depends on how this guy's playing too.
Mm-hmm.
If he's like super conservative, he probably never would have even made the raise. He would have probably just either limped or just folded.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was off suit. But you limped, right? First?
No, I bet.
No, you pre-flop you raised?
Right. That's what got the betting going initially.
No, because he raised and you re-raised. He made it 8.
Every time he
16.
Yeah, every time he bet, I made it 16.
Well,
so
no, but you came in for 2.
I called. Yes.
So he raised. And
so
you made it 16.
Right, because I called because the previous hand we had the kings.
Right.
I was like, it's the same scenario. I'm like,
right.
I'm gonna go the opposite direction, see what happens.
It worked out for you this time,
mm-hmm.
but Jax is not strong enough. Typically, to do that.
Right.
Shorthanded game like this, fine.
Right.
But with the more people at the table,
mm-hmm.
the less time you want to do that.
Right.
That's a straight raise, and usually a pretty, substantial raise.
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 8, or 10.
So let's say I raise there, he stays in.
No,
he goes.
The way I play personally, yeah, I go.
He throw that ace 10 out of there.
Right, because what are you trying to hit here? What are you?
You're trying to hit pairs.
Right, you're trying to hit pairs.
Yeah.
But if you hit your 10, you may be no good.
Mm-hmm.
You hit your ace, you still may be no good because you're losing an ace king, ace queen, ace jack.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So now 10 is your best possible card, but now you probably need both of them.
Mm-hmm.
You need more than one.
Right.
Because if you're straight raising, what are you straight raising with? Your range is so big that
mm-hmm.
beats me.
Yeah.
Just get rid of it. It's not worth your time. And look what happened.
Right. That was a fun one.
Yeah.
It's the best is because you got to make people make a decision. It's interesting. The correlation for, like, I can think I just came to me was so for hockey. Obviously, I'm doing a lot of hockey,
Right.
but for hockey, it's like facing down a goalie on a breakaway, right? Really, the person that wins that is
Right.
the person that doesn't flinch first,
Right.
and that's it. It comes literally down to that.
It does.
Yeah. That's why like Hank was really good at it because he was just a stonewall.
Right.
And the moment you were about to show your hand, you know what you're doing.
Right.
He got you.
Exactly.
Sometimes though, if you wait long enough, that goalie will go.
Right.
And now you're shooting this way.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's pretty cool.
In any really sport, in football, if they're going to run left or right, they tip their hand. They're not patient enough in their blocks and whatever, which is a more strategical game. But yeah, it's basketball, same position. The guy's going to go left, right. What? He's going to stop up and shoot. You don't know. And if he does something different every time, as much as that's true in those sports, it's also true in poker. And the whole trick of it is you got to know what bet sizing is going to work, how your opponents perceive you,
right,
and what you perceive of your opponents. And then you got to think about what's the best way for me to get their chips.
Right.
What's the best and easiest scenario for me to get their chips? So, you don't want to be too robotic. You don't want to be too animated, especially live. I mean, I've learned to discipline myself where I sit both feet flat on the floor, sit straight up as such, because you can tell this guy's not winning.
Right.
This guy's winning.
Right. He's in two.
And if somebody's trying to hurry the hand along, let's go, because they're winning. They're juiced. They're really going. It's such a people game. You got to play the, play the person, play the player.
Yeah.
Always play the player. It's less about the cards. It's cards second, people first.
Yeah, and I think another thing what really separates the players is when I go into these games too, or when I see like pros do it at least, that I try to emulate, I want to get you to feel a certain way about me.
Yep.
So I want you to think that you got me pegged. I'm going to do things predictably.
Yep.
And if I know you're noticing them.
Right.
So when I do it, and when I want you to notice it,
right,
and then I gotcha,
it's already too late.
You know what I mean?
Yep. Absolutely.
So like there's that psychological, especially if you're playing on a table with people for a long time too,
right,
where it's like, all right, you know everything about this person now.
Well, and the best information gathering really is not during the hand. It's in between the hands.
Yeah, it's in between.
Absolutely. And that's the kind of thing I've been working on at the Friday night game is like, I'm chatty with everybody. I'm friendly with everybody. I know there's dudes that just like to just sit there and rock it out and put their headphones on, don't talk to anybody.
Right.
Because of that exact scenario that you're talking about.
That's a weakness to me.
What?
That's telling me that you're afraid to show your hand. You're not confident in your abilities. Just sitting there with sunglasses on and headphones.
Right. But
you're blocking it all out so you don't give anything away.
I think it's less. I think you're right to an extent, but I think it's more. You're not giving away what you're gathering in those scenarios.
True. Right. They're paying attention.
Right.
They can just scan. Those headphones could be off. Yeah.
Look, 1,000%.
Yeah.
I think that a lot. I think they're not even listening to the music like 75% of the time. Because most of the guys, even if you have it on low, most of the headphones are like these.
Yeah, that would be noise canceling.
Noise canceling.
You can hear
right.
everything. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and if they're noise canceling, you can't hear anybody do anything. So, and I think the sunglasses is just sunglasses. I think if they're trying to hide, I mean, some people could read eyes, but it's
everything
like
you need
false.
to know about somebody.
You need more, yeah, right.
So when you're playing these games, right, I'm sure you see a lot of familiar guys.
Yeah.
Are there people that like have you pegged? Like this guy gets me every time. Do you get rivalries going, like friendly ones, but
right.
or like unspoken ones even, but this guy, every time I lose to this fucking guy, or
Well. Yeah, but not so much because they have me pegged.
Okay, it's just scenario.
There's just every time I'm in with a couple of people, they really just hit it. Even though I had a better hand.
Okay,
to start with,
right?
They always catch up. for some reason.
Well, the reason is because they have you pegged.
Well,
if you think about it.
Well, no. Well, the scenario would be I would have like kings
right
in the hole, and it's queen high board, and they have a queen,
right,
and they hit their off card. That's not having somebody
Right.
pegged. That's just getting lucky.
That's just getting lucky.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
That's true.
The stuff's, but you know, if it's like there's this one guy who's a good player. He's a bit too loose, but in my opinion, but he's pretty good. We've gotten each other a few times. Yeah, you know, I think it's about even. He's gotten lucky on me. I've had a better hand. I flopped sets where he's flopped top pair, and just nothing happens for him. So it's just, it's so weird because it's not just one thing. Like we
Right.
said, it's never always or maybe. It's never that case. You know, like this past Friday, I was knocked down. I got low on chips, and I shoved it in with a king jack suited. This lady who had maybe 300 more chips than me called me with king 8,
Right.
and we on all the counts she hit an 8.
Yep.
This is, you know, it's just that's just blind luck.
At that point,
Right.
yeah.
Right. And she just came to the table too, so she had zero information. But she was the big line.
So there you go. Yeah. So she was like, all right, whatever.
She's like, well, but still, if anybody reasonably poker player, you know, probably would have chucked it in, because you know you don't know who this person is, what this person is doing, or whatever the case may be. Your stack size, you want to be making, like I said, you want to be making the move,
Right.
not responding to the move. You know, you want to be taking the action. You don't want to respond to the action. So, but it's also luck. A lot of luck involved. So, what do you think? A couple more, or you?
I think that last one was really good.
Yeah, that was a great one.
Yeah,
that was a capper.
I think we went through a lot. Like we just got lucky with a lot of really great hands.
Yeah, we did.
You know, a lot of cool scenarios.
A lot of cool scenarios. Like I said, you know, just anybody who wants to come down and play, reach out to me. Reach out to Joe. He'll get in touch with me.
Yeah,
we'll hook you
we'll
up.
work it up.
Yep.
All right,
all right, buddy.
Do it right.
Yeah, do it right, brother.
What's up, brother?
Thanks a lot.
No
Take care.
problem.